Ladies and gentlemen, today I have some astonishing news about the C8 ZR1 and Zora new leaks. And the Z06 will be the most powerful NA V8 in the world. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Brink of Speed. Today I'm super excited to talk with you all about the latest insight and details of all 4 C8 Corvette variants. This info comes from Angus MacKenzie, a journalist known around the world. He did an excellent write-up in Wheels magazine, which is one of Australia's car magazines. And thanks to the Mid-Engine Corvette forum, we can read all about it. I will leave a link to this article in the description down below. Now, real quick, before we get started, my thumbs up squad has already probably smashed that like button. But if you guys haven't, please help me out by smashing that thumbs up button. And if you always want to stay up to date on new C8 info coming out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and bell for notifications so you don't miss a thing. Okay, let's get right into it. Now, do we know that this latest info is fact? We don't. But what we do know is it all coincides with everything we've already learned about these C8 variants. Also, Angus isn't known for his conspiracy theory about cars. He is known for his in-depth knowledge and success as not only a writer, he has also been an editor-in-chief for magazines. I would bet good money on the fact that most, if not all, of what this article reveals is true. And I will link this article that you're seeing right now about Angus in the description down below. So I'd like to start with the latest on the E-Ray and work my way to Zora. So let's go ahead and scroll on down here to the E-Ray. And I'll blow this up for you guys so you guys can definitely see what I'm talking about. But it says here the C8 Corvette E-Ray is the only new vet variant that will have the 6.2 liter pushrod V8 that powers the base model. So we already know this from the past articles that we've read and seen, but there's a twist. The E-Ray will combine a 370 kilowatt of old school American muscle with a 160 kilowatt electric motor that powers the front wheels. Total system output is expected to be close to 440 kilowatts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because this is an Australian article, they are speaking in kilowatts for horsepower and Newton meters for torque, but I will convert those over to you. So the E-Ray is going to put out 440 kilowatts, which is equal to 598 horsepower, according to converting kilowatts to horsepower. So almost 600 horsepower, which is something that we have been hearing for quite a while. The E-Ray effectively takes over the role of the Grand Sport. So the previous Grand Sports came in the C2, then the C4, then it skipped to the C6, and then went to the C7. We will no longer have a Grand Sport for the C8. As you're seeing here, it will be replaced by the E-Ray. It's saying here that the E-Ray's chassis tune will not be hardcore, but nevertheless, this first ever hybrid Corvette promises to offer surprising bang for your buck. So let me know in the comments down below what you think about the E-Ray information. It's not till we get to the Z06 where we really get some cool info and specs from Angus. And so let's move on to the C8 Z06. He says here that it will be powered by high revving double overhead camshaft V8, making it the first Corvette since the C4 ZR1 to have an engine without push rods. Now he also goes on to explain the 4.2 liter Blackwing engine for Cadillac. Now the Z06 engine is rumored to be good for 460 kilowatts, which is a natural aspirated 625 horsepower, so that's a good number. We've been hearing around 600 horsepower. 625 is amazing. It will have completely different cylinder heads and a flat plane crank. He says, why the flat plane crank? Well, the technical explanation is that the smaller and lighter flat plane crank allows the engine to rev faster and higher, and thus make more power. Flat plane crank V8s also have a different firing order that allows for better exhaust scavenging and the reflected pressure waves helping suck the burnt gases out of the combustion chamber. Now we know that Ford introduced the flat plane crank V8 with the GT350 and GT350R Mustangs. And so right then and there, apparently, GM decided that they had to make a Corvette with a flat plane crank engine. Now, I don't know how true this is, but this is what this article is stating. And it kind of makes sense, even though they're not really truly competing with a GT350 or GT350R with the Corvette. This is something that they wanted to put in the new Corvette. And now, instead of an RPM of 8,600, they're stating that this thing is going to rev to 9,000 RPM. So obviously, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a screamer of an engine and will be the world's most powerful naturally aspirated V8 ever built. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about 9,000 RPM. I'll tell you one thing, it gets me super excited. Now there are downsides to a flat plane crank, and there have been plenty of people that have stated this on my videos in the past, that they have a vibration issue. But in this article, as you will see, he states that the obvious is GM has been testing this flat plane crank V8 in their C8R for over a year now, and they've probably figured out how to negate most of that high revving vibrations. And so I don't think we're going to have anything to worry about, even though Mustang has definitely had issues with their engine. They've had warranty issues. Hopefully we won't have any Z06 problems. It says here, with a high revving engine mated to an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, the C8 Z06 will feel like a very different Corvette from the regular model. In addition to upgraded suspension and quicker steering, expect wider wheels shod with Michelin Cup tires, which will probably be the Cup Rs, and a standard E-diff to maximize traction. Options will include carbon ceramic brakes and carbon fiber wheels. The Z06 will also get a different aero package and different rear bodywork, pumped out to accommodate a wider track rear suspension as well as wider tires. So when they talk about a new aero package, my hopes are that they come out with active aero all over this thing. Now, I don't think it's going to happen on the C8 Z06 as much as it will the ZR1 and the Zora, but I hope we get some active aero on the C8 Z06. All right, let's move on to the ZR1. Now there are some conflicting numbers here with the ZR1, and I'm going to go over those with you. The first thing that they state here is not conflicting at all. They state that the new 5.5 liter twin turbo V8 will have dual overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder, dubbed the LT7. Here's where it starts getting confusing. They're saying it's going to have 520 kilowatts of horsepower and 1,150 newton meters of torque. That 520 kilowatts of power is only coming out to around high 6s of horsepower. Whereas if you go to the next page, we'll go ahead and scroll down here. The next page at the very bottom of this first section states 600 kilowatts of power. And if you take that 600 kilowatts and put it into the converter, it shows 815 horsepower. Now that sounds more like it. They're not going to make a ZR1 twin turboed to have less horsepower than the last C7 ZR1. So that's the only thing about this article that doesn't make any sense. If you guys can make sense of it, leave a comment down below. But this just doesn't make sense to me at all. Let's go ahead and start back at the beginning of the ZR1 article here. It says the C8 ZR1 will also get the wide body rear end, not just because of the revised rear suspension and bigger rear wheels and tires it will share with the Z06, but also because it can accommodate the extra plumbing and intercoolers required for its 2 turbochargers. The turbos, which will be mounted either side of the engine, are expected to boost the output of the quad cam flat plane crank V8 to about 600 kilowatts, as I said before. It talks about the origin of the ZR1, but let's move on to the C8 version will follow the ZR1 tradition of delivering muscular shock and awe thrust when you nail the accelerator pedal. But the ZR1 badge will no longer designate the most powerful Corvette in the lineup. So this ZR1 has been confirmed here by Angus to have a twin-turbo flat-plane crank 5.5 liter LT7 V8 with 815 horsepower and 848 torque. That is going to be ridiculous. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the ZR1 and what Angus says about it. Now let's move on to the last piece of information. It says here the Alpha Dog C8 will be the badge Zora in honor of legendary Corvette chief engineer Zora Duntoff. Let's move on down to where it says Zora's high-tech powertrain, which combines the C8 ZR1's twin-turbo quad-cam V8 with the E-Ray's front axle mounted E-motor. So we're going to have two hybrids like we've been talking about for a long time now. Will make the Zora easily the most powerful Corvette ever built. 746 kilowatts will be the power of both motors totaled up, which converts to 1,014 horsepower and 1,000 foot-pounds of torque. The Zora should not only be able to monster Porsche's astoundingly quick 911 Turbo S, but might even surprise Ferrari's SF90 Stradale. Now that right there is a huge statement. But the C8 is going to do big things in America. I've actually been saying this for years. It's going to do big things over in Europe. It's going to do big things over in Australia, over in Asia. It's going to do big things, period. But what it's going to do that most people would have never guessed in a million years is it's going to bring competition to $1 million hypercars. The Ferrari SF90 is an example of that. They are comparing it to this. And I really believe that Zora is going to make a lot of supercar manufacturers rethink the way that they do their supercars in the future, because they're predicting a $170,000 US price tag on this car, which is something that I've been also stating for quite a while. I thought it was going to be around 170, 175. It's definitely going to be under 200,000, and that's what this article states. It's also stating that it's going to do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, which I kind of find hard to believe that it's only going to do it in 2.6 seconds. I figured it would do it faster than that because it's all-wheel drive and it has 1,000 horsepower. But we know that the quarter mile is probably going to be in the nines, probably mid to low nines, maybe even faster than that. Who knows? This car is going to be ridiculous, and I'm really happy that such a prestigious and really well-known journalist has come out and said it. And he's from Australia. He is not an American. It's not like he's biased. So ladies and gentlemen, that is really going to do it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think about the Zora, what you think about Angus's predictions, and what you think about everything that I've gone over so far with all four variants. I hope all this stuff comes true. I think it will, like I said in the beginning, but let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. Also, as most of you probably know, I have a deposit down for the C8 Z06, so I will be bringing that content to you as soon as I receive it. But in the meantime, I'll be bringing all the rumors and articles like this to you. So if you don't want to miss a thing, please smash that red subscribe button and the bell for notifications when new videos are uploaded. I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you out on the road.